Alright, so, you gotta talk about the beta for Modern Warfare. Before we get started, what's going on the screen right now is a hell of a game of TDM from the beta. And I'm using this footage because so you know, because I'm good at playing the game, and I can post one good clip of gameplay that I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's start. It's a good, bad, and interesting format. But we'll do bad first, because there's a handful of things I want to talk about. First, the worst thing out of this whole beta, by far the worst, was the community. The community for this game is already one of the worst I've ever seen. It is pitiful, it is sad, and frankly, it's embarrassing. The amount of moaning on the subreddit for this game, both ways, positive and negative, has been ridiculous. The amount of just cynical nitpicking and gatekeeping and elitism, it is unacceptable for any type of community. But especially one that claims to be as old as it is, because this one claims to be like an older community. It claims to be a lot of people returning from classic CODs, and frankly, I think Call of Duty as a series has attracted a lot of very dumb people and a lot of people who are very young, but this is unacceptable. The community is just terrible right now, and I don't see it really improving drastically. Second, camping. There was a lot of camping, and I'll go into why I think this will disappear at the end, but for now, there is a lot of camping, and there are a lot of people who will grab a whole team, a bunch of claymores, and just chill. And that's unfortunate. The third thing, the thing that really pissed me off, was there was a bug where Simtex would get stuck in doorways and wouldn't blow up until you open the door or close the door. And this was massively broken. People abused the shit out of it. Unacceptable. Can't continue. That's got to be fixed ASAP. The last thing is there were a few guns that felt kind of pointless or they were just straight broken. Number one being the EBR-14. The flinch on that was so bad it was unusable. A couple other ones. The AK felt really bad to use, as did both the LMGs. The issue was some of the assault rifles and SMGs were super good, and I'd like to see some of the other guns brought up to that level. Now the LMG, specifically the big one, the first one you unlock, is a little bit of a caveat because its damage output is super high, so its handling stats make sense. But the recoil on both that one and the L86A2, whatever it's called, both felt bad to use. Aside from that, though, that's about it I have for negatives. Positives. Flashback, I talked about why you should be hyped for this game. And if anyone saw that, you'll know. The first thing, one of the main things I said was, the map designers are back. The old school map designers are back in this game from the older CODs. And it showed. The maps in this in the beta were just phenomenal. Phenomenal maps. Tons of routes. Little spots where you could crawl and crouch through that you couldn't run through. Functional doorways, just so much fun to run around and explore, find different ways to sneak around, and it did help with camping somewhat. Because once you got a handle of the maps a little bit, you knew where people were camping, you could constantly be hitting them from different directions, and they could never predict you. The only one that was really an issue was on the train yard map, whatever that one was called. There was one building with only 2 entrances that people tended to camp pretty hard that had no alternate accesses. But specifically on this map, the building I'm aiming at right now, that particular building has 3 entrances. And while people would try to camp it all the time, I would just hit it from there's a stairway down on the inside that you could climb up, and then both doors. And you just hit it from different angles and shoot them in the back, and it always worked. Just very, very fun map design. Second, while they did nerf the gun sounds and smoke, the overall feel for the weapons was very, very nice. Super beefy. The recoil felt good. The gunplay as a whole just felt way better than it had any right to. It's a very good feeling game, and I can see this game being one that I just play mindlessly, like listening to a podcast, watching TV, just kind of playing a game, even if it's just Spec Ops. I think the Spec Ops in this game is going to be something I sink a lot of time into, purely because the actual gameplay loop, the sprinting, the moving, the crouching, the sliding, the shooting, feels phenomenal. It's a very, very polished game. Second, I touched on it, the movement is just best the best the game's ever seen. Just very, very good. Overall, the gameplay loop was the best COD has had ever. Like, this is the best playing COD we've ever had. Third, the balance across the board was pretty good. Now, I'll say right now, the MP5 and the M4 were by far the best weapons in the game. The FAMAS was also super good, but I think the FAMAS is one of those weapons that's, you can't make a burst rifle that isn't, like, annoying, but I don't think it was that good. The burst delay was pretty slow. The M4 felt substantially better than the FAMAS, I'll say. The M4 and the MP5 were both highly customizable and extremely lethal, especially the M4. The M4 in this is beefy, like beef and cheddar, beefy 5-layer burrito kind of beef master. Good when built for anything, really. I'll definitely say that the AK and the LMGs, like I touched on earlier, didn't feel super good, and shotguns were very weak, but sniping felt decent. All the SMGs felt really nice to use in the beta. The M13, the M4, I think the M19 felt alright, the pistol. The Deagle feels fantastic, obviously. The launchers were both usable. All the perks felt relatively useful for different things, and I think we'll see a lot of variety with that. Tactical and explosive grenades were both very, very solid. You can see that. No, that's not. Never mind. Don't forget that. Forget that. I was going to talk about the grenade thing again, but yeah, across the board, lots of variety. I can see a lot of ways I could build classes. And finally, the gunsmith. The gunsmith was so good. I spent half my time just building guns. The M4 was easily the one I had the most fun building. I had so many variations I used of that gun. And the one I ended up loving the most was a marksman version, built to like cut through walls at long range with low recoil. All along the freaking heavy barrel, the muzzle brake, FMJ, a long range optic, and then I think a foregrip. And the whole point was, like, I would find someone at long range, and then through thick or thin, they were dying. And I loved it. That was a lot of fun. And that kind of adds into, this game when it launches, I think is going to be fantastic. I really do, unless they drastically change it. Because the stuff that's hard to nail, the map design, the gameplay loop, the features are all very good. The stuff that's questionable, the cosmetics, balance, microtransactions, I think we're going to be seeing some questionable work there. I think we're going to definitely be seeing a growing process. And this isn't going to be a perfect game. But the beta showed me that the stuff that's hard to nail, the stuff that's complicated or difficult, the stuff that if we saw it was bad, wouldn't have hope of improving. Let me rephrase that. If we saw this kind of stuff in the beta and it wasn't good, the graphics, the base gameplay, the features, that kind of stuff, if that was bad in the beta, it's not going to be good in the game. But the stuff that we really come back to play, the real beef of the game, was good. Meaning I have a lot of hope this game's going to be fantastic. And I've been saying, COD, this game will have microtransactions, but the developers have a vested interest in this game being fantastic, and I think it will be. Just a few notes before I sign off here. The microtransaction system, if it adds guns, will kill this game. The COD community has a short leash after Black Ops 4, because Black Ops 4 was a train wreck. Spec Ops needs to be good, frankly, because we haven't had a good Spec Ops or offline mode in a long time for Call of Duty, and that needs to be good, especially the AI. The AI needs to be good in that mode. This game did run into a few errors graphically that I didn't like, so, that definitely is going to need a little bit of work. And there was some latency issues, some hit reg issues that they're going to need to smooth out. I did feel like there's a little bit of tweaking they could do that I'm not going to go into right now for base gameplay that could be improved. But, yeah, that's about it. Beta was just a resounding success, and there is another weekend of it in a week. Basically, it's lined up. Early access for PS4 was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday was the PS4 open access, and then next week we'll have all consoles will have full open access to it, and the level cap will be increased so that we'll all have access to more weapons. So yeah, that's about it. I was very excited and I'm very happy with this. That's about it. Deuces.